On today's Live Open Daily, Project Avalanche, which is Meta's PCVR cloud gaming solution, has apparently been leaked, and later, Meta is dropping support of their in-house mixed reality capture tool in favor of a third-party company that is doing it way better. I'm your host, Live Open Mike. This first story comes to us from Gamergen.com and Gamergen on YouTube. This is a French gaming site that covers all aspects of gaming, console, PC, mobile, and VR. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, any of the overlays and images that you see come from Gamergen's YouTube channel. They were doing a live stream called Parlons VR. Parlons means let's talk in VR. Thank you very much, Google Translate. So the host of this live stream, I think this is Eric de Brocart, at least that's the person that was spreading this around on X from Gamergen. Puts on their Quest 3 headset and they go into their options under experimental settings, it looks like, and there's an icon there that says launch Avalanche Alpha. That gets clicked on and it brings up an option to play the first Lone Echo game. Now, we've known about Project Avalanche for a while. Meta has been pretty open that they're working on the cloud gaming solution. I know Mark Zuckerberg's talked about it, Andrew Bosworth's talked about it, Mark Rapkin's talked about it, but they all said that the technology really wasn't there, and I think they were meaning like internet speeds. This was a couple of years ago, before Wi-Fi 6 routers, even though they were available, weren't being widely used by a lot of consumers, and a lot of people weren't even using the Wi-Fi 5 connection to do stuff like Airlink. A lot of them were on 2.4 gigahertz connections on their routers, which really isn't strong enough to do a true cloud gaming solution. There have been a lot of people who have kind of like doubted the viability of cloud gaming, but it's important to also note that two of these services already exist. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. One of them exists, the other one has shut down. We're going to talk about both of those in a second because they kind of worked in very similar ways. The difference was in their pricing model. Now, I'm all about this because gaming rigs are still fairly expensive. I paid about $1,500 for mine, and mine is considered mid-tier. You're still going to pay about $1,000 for like a lower tier rig, something that's going to give you like a 1650 GPU. But frankly, a lot of people aren't really prepared to make that expense or don't really have the means to finance a computer like I did. I did not pay for my computer up front. I financed it over the course of a year. But the important thing to know is that there are a ton of Oculus Studio / Rift exclusives that are locked away on the Meta Store that a lot of people don't have access to. You're talking Asgard's Wrath, Lone Echo 1 and 2, Defector from Either Sun, Stormland, a bunch of games that are really good that people cannot play because they don't have access to that platform. Last year, we got Microsoft's Xbox Cloud Gaming tool, allowing you to play games remotely in the cloud if you have a Game Pass subscription. And there were tons of video of people playing games like Fortnite on the 2D flat screen in VR. I've tried it a couple times myself. It works pretty well as long as you have a really good connection. VR is going to be another thing because it's seeding a massive game directly into your headset as opposed to just a 2D flat screen and doing all that rendering. And some PCVR games can be pretty massive. Like Fortnite's considered a pretty chunky game and that download is about 50 gigs. Asgard's Wrath 1 is 130 gigs just to download. The PCVR version of Medal of Honor Above and Beyond was like 170 gigs. I actually had to clear a ton of other games off my system to be able to download that game to be able to stream it. So I'm a little worried about like the latency of that, but that's why this is still in test. What's not clear here, because this is alpha footage, there were people who were actually selected to test this privately, and that's where this leak came from, is how much Meta would actually charge for this service. And from there, we can look at the other two companies who tried PC gaming and what they were charging for it, because that might give us like a barometer of what Meta would be looking at. I highly doubt this is going to be free like the Xbox Cloud Gaming solution, because that actually requires a Game Pass subscription, and that's how Microsoft is making their money, so they can offer that app for free to be able to get just more people into it via their headsets. Meta does not have a subscription service for PCVR. Why would they? The only PCVR subscription service I know is called Viveport. So it is possible that they would offer this for free because you do still have to buy the games. Asgard's Wrath 1, for instance, is $40. Lone Echo 1 is $20. Lone Echo 2 is still $40. Or they may be looking at a subscription service to get access to these games for free, something like Viveport. There's been no indication of which way they're going to go with that, but the point is the service does still exist and they're actively testing it. Now, I said earlier that there are two companies who tried this before. The one that closed down is called Plutosphere, and the other one is called Shadow PC. Shadow PC actually is still operating. In terms of setup, both of these services work the same way. You have to sign up for an account with them. Again, Plutosphere is closed down, so don't go looking for them. Just if you want to try this, try Shadow PC. But you sign up for an account, you sign up for a pricing plan. Both of the pricing tiers were a little bit different. I'll cover each one of those in just a second. And then you do whatever you have to do, which is like set up Steam VR, sign into your account, and then download whatever game you want to play. You will need a pretty beefy connection for this. They recommend Wi-Fi 6, although Wi-Fi 5 apparently will get it done. This is off the specs off of Shadow's website. If you want to play your Oculus games, you had to use another program like LibreVR or Revive to be able to get access to those, but you can still install those games as well, and you play PCVR. I didn't have a strong Wi-Fi connection when I tried this, and my experience was pretty good. I did have to turn some of the graphical settings down low to be able to get it into like a workable fashion. And there are pricing tiers depending on how strong of a rig you want, but that's how both of these services work. Now, Plutosphere worked on kind of like an arcade system where you could purchase an upfront number of tokens, and each token accounted for like an hour or so of gameplay. Depending on how many tokens you bought, and it got cheaper the more tokens you bought, it was anywhere from like $1 per hour to $3 per hour of gameplay, and you would just re-up your tokens as needed. Shadow actually works on a tier system. There are 3 different pricing tiers. I'll put all the tiers on the screen right now for those of you watching on YouTube or Spotify's video. But for people who listen to audio, we'll just go through each spec. Each tier does have an introductory offer that is just a lower first month price. The regular prices are $20 for the lowest tier, $30 for the second tier, and $50 a month for the third tier. The lowest tier is going to give you a GTX 1080. That is by far the minimum spec of what you would need to be able to run PCVR. So this is one that's really not recommended. They actually said that you need to be on the power one, which is $35 for the first month and then $50 every month after that. That's going to give you an RTX 3070, and that seems to be the highest tier you can get. The caveat here is that both of these programs, Plutosphere Before Shutdown and Shadow PC, are available in beta on SideQuest, and you have to sideload them because Meta has a policy that you are not allowed to make a service on their main store, at least, that connects to a remote PC. It has to be a PC that is within the network of the user. I'm going to read through the full statement from Plutosphere when they announced their shutdown. The statement comes from UploadVR. After a period of long and intense negotiation and unforeseen challenges with a partner, it is with profound regret that we announce the cessation of Plutosphere operations. While we strongly believe that streaming spatial computing use cases to standalone devices is a necessary and exciting use case with a lot of potential, it is not possible to continue. We are shutting down the Plutosphere service imminently. Due to our inability to launch on the Meta App Store and grow our user base, we've been unable to honor our commitments with our third-party reseller of AWS cloud services. Our journey with Pluto has been unexpectedly complex and full of headwinds. The lack of approval on the Meta App Store for our use case, effectively banning cloud streaming, significantly hampered our marketing strategies, restricted our growth, and prevented us from fulfilling our usage obligations. Despite concerted efforts to renegotiate our agreement for committed AWS services over the last year, we reached an impasse. We are now compelled to shut down Pluto. This entails discontinuing our products and services, downsizing our team, and initiating the process of winding down operations. This outcome is far from what we envisioned when we began our cloud partnerships. We are responsible for having signed a contract with commitments that didn't get met, even if it's surprising that we couldn't find a way to renegotiate. We have exhausted all avenues to avert this situation, and it's with a heavy heart that we share this news. We understand the impact this will have on our team, our users, and the broader XR community. We deeply apologize for the disappointment and inconvenience this may cause. Your support and understanding during these challenging times means the world to us. Working on Plutosphere has been an incredible journey, and it is with sadness that we face its conclusion. We are grateful for the opportunity to have contributed to the XR landscape and will carry forward the lessons learned into future endeavors. Pluto shut down in March of this year. They first launched in early access a hair under 2 years ago, so it's a bummer to see this happen, but frankly, this isn't the first time that we've seen Meta put the kibosh on the system and then pretty much launch one of their own. There's an app called Your YUR that was basically a fitness app where it tracked like your calories burned while in VR and things of that nature. Meta actively blocked this app from coming to the main store. There's a user on X called Six, C-I-X. He's actually one of the co-founders of Live, which we'll talk about more in a minute. Six has been very open with his frustration about that process. Just go look through his Twitter feed, you can find the stories, or go through Reddit, you can easily find the stories of his whole experience with that. And to be clear, it's a bit hypocritical that Meta is working on their own solution for this while also blocking third-party versions from getting to the store. Again, this happened with Your, and there's a version of the same story that happened with Virtual Desktop. And there's a version of this that happened with Virtual Desktop as well. If you go through Guy Godin's history, and he'll be pretty open about his frustrations with Meta, his app had a really hard time getting to the main Meta store before Questlink became a thing, and then Airlink became a thing a little bit later. The other thing to note about Pluto is that being blocked from the main Meta store means that they were cut off from a revenue source. Now, as to why a service like Pluto shut down, being locked into SideQuest means a couple of things. Number one, like I said before, you had to silo the app into your headset, meaning you had to put your headset in developer mode, you had to download the APK from SideQuest, and then use either SideQuest desktop app or the Meta Developer Hub to get the APK on your computer, and then put it back on your head, and it was in the unknown sources. It wasn't even listed in the installed or all apps in the main Meta library. it was under unknown sources, which is where like sideloaded stuff actually goes. The other part of that is because it was locked to side quests, it couldn't take advantage of Meta's IAP, that's in-app purchases, meaning that you could not re-up your tokens from within the headset yourself. You had to go back to a PC or do something on your phone, tie into your account on Pluto's website, re-upload your tokens, and then put your headset back on. That's a level of friction that really cut off a lot of the users, and the fact that it wasn't on the main Meta store, there are millions of people on Quest headsets who don't know that side quests exist, so that, like it says in the statement, kind of limited how many people they could actually get into their service. On the Upload VR article, there's an interview with the co-founder of Pluto who said that they got an 8-figure bill, so that's at least $10 million from AWS, and frankly, they couldn't pay that with the amount of customers that they had. So unfortunate that happened, and we'll see what happens with Project Avalanche. Frankly, because Pluto wasn't allowed in the main store, Shadow still is not allowed in the main store. It's embedded on SideQuest now. I'm hoping Project Avalanche is good. Again, I'm excited for this because I would love to see these long dormant Rift exclusive PCVR games get more exposure. Asgard's Wrath 1 was my favorite VR game until Asgard's Wrath 2 came out. Lone Echo 1 and 2 are excellent games. Stormland's a fantastic game, but there are millions of players who can't play it because they don't have a PC VR ready rig, and cloud gaming hopefully will be a solution for that. So fingers crossed that this comes to fruition in the next year or so, because Wi-Fi 6 is now more readily available and we can finally get our hands on it. Again, hat tip to Gamergen for the leak on this. They did excellent. And again, hat tip to Gamergen.com and Gamergen on YouTube for the initial news on this, because they're the source of this leak. Our next story is about Live officially partnering with Meta. If you're not familiar with Live, they are a mixed reality capture app. Anytime you've ever seen mixed reality footage in like a VR game trailer, or if someone's like playing like a rhythm game like Beat Saber or Synth Riders or something like that, and you actually see the person, the actual person in mixed reality playing the game inside the environment, that is most likely captured by Live. This is the #1 mixed capture tool available on the market right now. Meta has, or at least had, their own mixed reality capture tool. I've actually tried to use it for my job, and it just wasn't very good. It didn't function as well as Live did. So Meta pretty much is cutting bait on this and saying, you know what? These guys are doing it better. We're just going to partner with them. And now Live gets official Meta support. I'm going to read the statement directly from their blog on live.tv. That's liv.tv. An important update to all game and app developers publishing on Meta Quest. We're excited to announce our multi-year partnership with Meta to bring Liv's mixed reality capture and virtual camera solutions to developers publishing on Meta Quest, and soon also creators who wish to use these features on Meta Quest and Rift apps. A large part of marketing today is the combination of trailer assets and video content made by the creator and player community inside your experiences. And we want to continue supporting developers in their mission to reach as many creators, players, and fans as possible. One of the key initial goals of our work is to make it easier for developers and creators to capture authentic mixed reality content using the PC with an external camera in both immersive apps and mixed reality apps that use Meta Quest Presence platform capabilities, including hand tracking, pass-through, scene understanding, spatial anchors, and occlusion. And there's a couple of images here if you're watching the video version of how it looks in games like Broken Edge and Racket Club. The rollout plan for the new SDK v2.0, available today, the beta release of our new SDK 2.0 for Unity-based apps that support Presence platform capabilities. This unlocks the ability for developers who publish on Meta Quest but build on PC to capture high-quality video content using real and virtual cameras. Later in 2024, there will be a beta release of our new SDK version 2.0 for Unreal-based apps that support Presence platform capabilities, same as above, but for apps built in Unreal Engine version 4.27 and newer. And in Q4 2024, it'll go from beta into official release for both Unreal and Unity. Mixed reality capture has shown its power as a tool to market XR apps and games, and we believe it will continue to be an important tool to drive awareness through video content and hence drive sales. It's particularly good for filming trailers. Take a look at these 3 trailers that were all captured using Live. The examples are Racket Club, Richie's Blank Experience, and Some Assembly Required. We've served the XR developer community since 2016 and are proud, excited, and happy to continue to do so with the help and support of Meta. As part of this announcement, we're also excited to share that we have tons of new experiences adding Live support, including Gorilla Tag and Racket Club. This next quote is from David Yee, the COO at Another Axiom. They're the makers of Gorilla Tag. Another Axiom builds fully realized spaces that are meant to be shared together, like in our popular game Gorilla Tag. We're always looking at new ways to give our players and creators a great experience they can share with their friends and family. This partnership between Live and Meta provides access to best-in-class capture and virtual camera technology, introducing new ways to capture and share in-headset experiences. We can't wait to see what the community does with these new tools, end quote. Beyond 2024, this is Live again. We're looking at improving the tooling for creators on the Live app. As you may be able to imagine, our backlog has grown big over the years. And to stay up to date, follow them on social media, join their Discord, and sign up for their newsletter. This comes from AJ Shuki, aka Dr. Doom, the co-founder and CEO of Live. Now, a lot of people, including myself, have been pretty critical about gaming trailers, especially for Quest games, because it is very difficult to capture high quality gameplay footage of a native Quest game, or really just VR games in general. That's why a lot of the trailers that you see, say at the very bottom, capture in-engine, because doing that stuff in headset, you're dealing with the whims of the person who's actually doing the filming, meaning if you tilt your head just ever slightly to the side, you're going to get sideways footage. Sometimes it shakes a bit too much, sometimes like there's screen tearing at the edges. Mixed reality trailers generally tend to look better because the background itself looks pretty stable, and it's a more realistic demonstration of what you're going to be doing inside the game because it's not the first person. You can actually see the person doing all of the hand interactions, the body movements, and things like that. So for the general consumer, this essentially means that the marketing is going to look much better for VR games moving forward, especially as more developers wrap their head around this tech or start using third-party services to create trailers for them. I know Mike from VR Oasis just started a company called 2080 Games that was announced at the Upload VR showcase, where he is actually producing trailers and doing some marketing and publishing for VR games. He actually put out a trailer for a new pool game on Meta Quest, and the trailer frankly looked pretty damn good. So while this doesn't directly affect games themselves, it will affect the presentation of games and the marketing of the games, which hopefully will get more people into the ecosystem. And frankly, we all win at that, because the more people that are in VR, the more money that's coming into VR, and the bigger and better games we're going to get. That's a wrap for this episode of Live Open Daily. Thank you so much for checking it out. You catch Live Open Daily and my other podcast, the XR Remix Podcast, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeart. Also catch me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/liveopenmic. I stream VR there several days a week. Thanks, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.